We are all following the unrest in California as a result of the protest by the people of California in response to the Trump administration's campaign of raids on illegal immigrants in Los Angeles. The real escalation is so great that it means that yesterday the government announced a curfew in the city for the night. Of course, this is a decision that is considered one of the major decisions in a city of cities or in a country of countries. And there was also a strange threat of the arrest of the governor of California and the arrest of the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Pace. The reason is that it is Tom Homan who is the man in charge of the border in the Trump administration. He was asked if anyone means it is possible to obstruct the work of the administration. He was subjected to arrest, and he said that he could be subjected to extensive arrest. And at that time they asked him about the governor of California himself, about the mayor of Los Angeles, and they said that they were not above the law, and therefore it is possible that they would be arrested if they obstructed the work of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Administration, which is carrying out the raids. After that, Trump, when they asked him about this topic, said that when I raised it, I would have arrested them, meaning he was like, he is inciting on this issue. And the governor of California did not miss the matter, but he said that these are words from a dictatorial ruler who he describes as Trump, meaning a dictatorial ruler who wants to achieve his own dreams. The issue is escalating with the procedure that it is. I mean, customarily and legally in all countries of the world, there is no problem. I mean, people entering the country illegally are being targeted. Which country does this? Any country is focused on the people who have entered its country. Without having a visa or an entry visa, meaning a valid or correct one, or the person who broke his visa is sitting in the country after the expiration of the visa period and working while he is not authorized to work, and this means that many needs may be wrong in illegal immigration. Because of Trump's work, the administration in California was a Democratic administration, which means the Democratic Party. We've witnessed significant escalation. They always consider that if they are on a Republican side, if on the other hand, if they are a Democrat, they will remain enemies. And the conflicts that we have seen entertaining in Los Angeles will begin to occur, and it may spread to a number of other cities in California as well as to the rest of the American states, California specifically. I thought the issue ignited more because the events were happening not just between a Democratic governor and a Republican president. No. The problem is, it's California. California was originally one of the states that before that seriously sought secession from America. Of course, this may be surprising for people who don't mean a mandate in a very powerful country, number one in the world. The state of America is a state of great power. It can be one power. There is no force in front of it to confront it at the same level as it is. I want to break away from this important entity in the world and become a state of ordinary countries, a state that means California, separate from the large entity. The truth is that this example, although we are surprised to hear it, but we have seen it very much in history and we have seen it in reality. I mean, it is very strong. I see a giant empire like America, including 50 countries in some 50 states in the place of 50 countries. We saw the Roman Empire, we saw the French Empire, the Macedonian Empire, we saw the English. From which the sun does not set, we saw France, Spain, Portugal, many countries. They were giant countries with very huge colonies or states, governorates or countries according to their size, all included under one was. And after that, they disintegrate in contemporary reality. We saw the Soviet Union. For example, it was a very huge country, very sprawling, with an atmosphere that includes a huge number of countries, and suddenly it began to shrink. Countries began to emerge from it, and in the end it remained Russia and Russia. Before the dissolution, other parts of Yugoslavia could emerge from it. It was also a large country. After that, it was divided, the 5 countries, each country separated and remained an independent entity. In fact, we saw, for example, South Sudan, meaning South Sudan was also a province or a state. Among the states of Sudan, it became independent and remained a state alone. East Timor in Indonesia. Now Catalonia is seeking to separate from Spain. Scotland is trying to separate from the United Kingdom. Britain means, and thus we see this talk with California, the situation is less strange. I mean, the situation is less than California. What about South Sudan or East Timor or Catalonia or California? Its Kolaya potential allows it to be a state like California. In terms of area, is the third largest state in America after Alaska and Texas. Its area of 424,000 kilometers, of course, is a very huge area. It is larger than Japan, larger than Germany, larger than Britain, meaning larger than the great countries of the world. The population is also very sick. The population is close to an income of 40,000, which means that it is the largest state in terms of population in America, as 40,000 speaks for 11.1% of America's population. It's a big number. There are many countries in the world that do not provide this number or text. This number has a very, very strong economy. Its economy alone, the fifth in the world. In terms of economic significance, California holds the leading position in America's economy. China saw it, Germany saw it, and Japan saw it, the fourth, the fifth. If we enter California alone, it remains the fifth after every state whose production in the year is $93 trillion, its national income. This number is, of course, mythical for me. The global countries control very many of the major countries in the world, and their economy is diverse and based on industries, agriculture, and others. Their industry is very, very distinct, especially in technology. That's why most of the big companies are based in California, the big tech companies. Before, in relying on, in California, Google in California, Facebook in California, Tesla, I mean, most of my major companies, electronic and technological fields, will converge their center. The president is in California, in which one of the most fertile valleys in the world is the Middle Valley is in California, which produces more than half of America's production of fruits, vegetables, and grains. Imagine California alone producing more than the text it produces. All of America is in fruits, grains, and vegetables. Of course, two of the largest cities in the world are sold, Los Angeles and San Francisco, and they have very huge ports. Los Angeles is one of the very important ports in the world. Long Beach is also one of the important ports in the world. All of this is in California, thanks to the huge media influence, because Hollywood is there. The largest city of film industry cities, and it has a very, very large number of international newspapers, is centered in California. What we say is not just an intellectual party. I mean, it is not just an idea. We are putting forward theoretical information by saying the possibility that she is thinking about separating. No, she has already thought about separating. More than once, to know the modern attempts, we have the three attempts: 2017, 2019, 2021, and finally 2025. When 2025, they collected signatures to vote on the issue of secession, and if they were able to gather a number of expectations suitable for 5% of the state's population, it is possible that in 2028 they would actually vote to secede from America, and they worked before that on the idea of trying. For the partial separation, they formed a union. California with Oregon, with Washington, Seattle, which is Washington. The state is not Washington, the city is not the capital. I mean, they formed a union of Western children during the COVID crisis because they did not like the federal state system in dealing with the COVID crisis. So they formed a union of the three, and they dealt with the issue separately from the state. And the topic is moving in this way. Case, then they have something of experience. This notion is clearly perceptible within this region. All separatist attempts will take place during the time of Republican leadership of the state, especially Trump. I mean, all the attempts we mentioned will be when the Republican leader of the state will be, when the Democratic leader of the state will be one of the Democrats like them. They will not act. These unrest, when will the unrest arise? When the leader of the state is a Republican and they have a stronghold of democracy, which is California, and thus a conflict occurs between the two races. As the conflict increases between the Democrats and the Republicans, the conflict that exists in California specifically and in the rest of the states increases. To the very strange Democratic Party, the American Constitution does not prevent secession, meaning there is no article in the American Constitution that prevents the secession of a state from the states, but in practice the issue is not easy because we had in the Civil War that took place between the American states in the year from 1861 to 1865, 4 years that were very difficult, very but and in which some decisions were issued.
4 years later, there was an attempted separation of Texas, and the Supreme Court of America released in Howard, Texas was forbidden to secede and ruled on this subject, for it was difficult for any state to secede from his own, and therefore,
the possibility of separation will be difficult, but it is possible. Why? Californians trying to secede? A strange question. Why are you in this power and this large country? Do you want to separate? The answer is very one, which is the search for luxury. Luxury, why? Because it produces a lot, and within it the material level as a state is very high, and this income is distributed among. All of America with its state remained strong and weak, populous and sparsely populated, those with potential who did not have it, desert and agricultural. This production is distributed with the general national production of America, and therefore every one of the people in California who wants to have a higher level of well-being and looks at the world in a country with a high level of well-being, there are no strong countries, meaning the highest levels of well-being are found in Finland, in Sweden, there are in Denmark, and these are all countries that are not strong, meaning politically and militarily strong. But the level of well-being of the individual lives in much higher well-being than in America. America ranks 23rd in the world in terms of well-being. It is very far from countries that live higher welfare, such as the Scandinavian countries, Switzerland and other European countries. Also countries where higher profits can be achieved. You don't have, for example, Switzerland, Singapore, Luxembourg, countries that are ahead of America on the issue of investigation, more profit in less time. Of course, this is also something that haunts the dreams of people who want to have greater wealth and have greater life possibilities. And the middle, which is in America, does not give them this opportunity because, as we said, their effort is drowning in the effort of other states of the United States, which is why they look at me. This matter, and they only look at the issue of pride and identity. What you give them is America, or the power that the state gives them, or the political situation in the world, the economic situation in the world, etc. In general, he doesn't look at all these things.